a man is going to ejaculate. Sometimes, like, this needs to be, like, lubed up, so, like, the foreskin rips. Women are actually capable of coming too. Too many guys are not sanitary enough to have a foreskin. Don't let him impregnate you, alright? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back today, not quite as Lovesick J, but today I'm here as Big Sis J. I'm here to give you the sex talk, so your parents don't have to. I'm sure there's a lot of people, especially relating to me in Asian households, where you just never got the sex talk. I'm here to give it to you today, learned from firsthand experience, and I'm here to relay the knowledge to you. I broke up this talk into a few categories. So first, I'm going to talk briefly about puberty. We're going to go on to periods. We're going to go prevention. We're going to have a short segment on boys, and then we're going to talk about sex. Let's get started with a disclaimer. I am just a girl who didn't get the sex talk, so I have absolutely no qualifications to give this talk, but here we both are. So let's get started. So puberty. Normally, and I'm speaking to like my female audience, men are much different. I can't really speak on that experience. I have a short segment on men, but for most of this, we're going to be talking straight to the female audience. Puberty can generally occur in females from ages 10 to 16. Normally this is categorized by, and if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. I have like a notes app open. This is normally categorized by growing hair, boobs, body changes, acne is a big one. I went through that one. Didn't go through the boobs, went through the hair, the acne, and periods. Let's go on to periods. This is a big mystery. The period thing. So basically, a period is when an egg is released into the fallopian tube, and if you don't get impregnated, then the lining sheds, which is what causes the period blood. From the point that you get your first period and on, you're basically available to get pregnant whenever you want. And even it's been said that up to a year to a few months before somebody gets their period, their hormones already start changing, so it's likely that someone could get pregnant before then. Honestly, you get your period so young. I don't think most people are having sex before they're like 11. Hopefully not. There's really no way of knowing when you're going to get your first period. You could start PMSing, I guess, which is something that you wouldn't have experienced before, which is normally identified by mood changes, cramps. So I guess that'd be one way to know, but to get your period for the first time, there's really no way that you would know that you're gonna get it. When you do get your period, this could normally range from a very light flow with not that much blood to a very heavy flow. When you look and you get your period and you're bleeding like throughout the range of the days that you're bleeding for, it might seem like it's a lot of blood, but it's normally only around like 1 to 5 tablespoons, so it's really not that much blood. You're not gonna bleed out. Don't worry. In the beginning of your period, it's likely that the blood will be bright red, and then at the end of your period, when the blood starts oxidizing a little bit more, it's likely that it's going to be more of a brown color. You could begin your period with some spotting. This doesn't personally happen to me. I just start my period. But yeah, I do know some people that get spotting before and when they're finishing their period. I feel like the grossest part of the period is what it feels like. So it basically feels like you're leaking out of your vagina involuntarily. If you experience discharge, which I don't believe that most people do before they get their period or before they hit puberty, it feels exactly like discharge. And you're gonna get discharged for the rest of your life until you hit menopause. So that feeling, the goo inside your underwear is literally never gonna go away. Whether it be period blood or discharge until you're like 45 to 55 when you hit menopause. So there are 3 main methods of absorption when it comes to your period. The standard, and I feel like this is what most people do when they first start off with their periods, are pads. And pads are basically like a lining that you put in your underwear and it sticks, and sometimes they have wings so you could really make them stick onto there. The benefits of this is that they're very simple, very user-friendly. Most kids when they first get their period use these because they just make the most sense. Simple, you can't really get it wrong. I feel like the biggest downsides are that it does feel like you're wearing a diaper, and like it gets sweaty down there because there's so much down there, and it can feel wet and you could feel your period blood until you change your pad. Also, these do leak occasionally if you're heavy. They do have sizes for all of these things, so there are light pads, heavier pads. You could just wear a full-on diaper if you wanted to. They have those. Yeah, these are the most user-friendly type of absorption, and pads are what people normally start off with, so I definitely recommend those if you're starting off. And then as you get older, some people venture into tampons, and these are useful. Tampons are basic. I have one here actually. This is a tampon. This is what it comes with. This is a tampon with an applicator, so let me open this up. This is what a tampon applicator looks like. The string here is the tampon. Basically, let me give you a demonstration. Clip my mic up for a second. So this is your tampon demonstration that you did not ask for. This is the applicator, the tampon string on the bottom, and then the tampon's like on the inside, but you can't really see it. You can kind of see it right here, right? Let's pretend. This is never gonna be good because you have to do it in order to know. There's no cohesive way of me showing you how to do this and for it to just be like perfect, right? But this is your vagina hole. This is your vagina hole, right? This is your tampon. You have to put this thing in like all the way. You can't leave this dangling or else you're gonna feel it. The good thing about these is people say that you can't feel these, and I think that that's true. If you learn how to put these in proficiently, you can't feel them. They're super clean. You could go in the pool, you could wear them a lot longer without having to worry about them leaking. They do still leak if you're very heavy, and there's also sizes to these, so if you get like a light or a regular, and they also have super and then super plus, if you get too light of one, these could leak. Keep that in mind. The demonstration. This is your vagina hole. You need to put this really far in. So like when I first put a tampon in, I made the mistake of not putting this all the way in. So like you can't just put this like in like this. Like your hands are gonna get dirty when you're putting this in. So you're gonna basically, sometimes like this needs to be like lubed up. So like I'm just gonna be so honest. Like if you're bleeding, right? You could use your blood as your lube. So like this is just so strange. So sometimes like it's not just gonna go in right away because this is like dry and your vagina's wet, so this needs to be wet to like get in, right? Or at least like somewhat moist to get in. So you're gonna like try to like lube it up a little bit. This is so inappropriate, but it's really not. This is super educational. And I'm trying to like give a good angle. You're gonna shove it in. Like I like to do it where like my fingers are holding onto it as it's like going past like the entrance. And then, so you're holding onto it like this, and then you're just gonna push it in. And then at this point, it's not gonna happen right now because there's no vagina, but the tampon is going to like expand into your vagina, and then you're gonna be able to pull this out, and then the cotton's gonna stay. So essentially, you're gonna end up like this if I was actually putting it into my vagina. So that's a demonstration that you did not ask for. You're welcome. The one thing about tampons that you have to keep in mind is that you cannot, by any circumstances, keep them in for more than 8 hours. And I would highly suggest not sleeping with them in. I am a big hypocrite because I have done this before, but I highly suggest not doing it because it puts you at risk for toxic shock syndrome, which is basically some sort of syndrome you get from your body reacting negatively to you having the tampon in for too long. I don't really know the logistics of it. It's probably best I don't look it up for my mental health, but you can get that, and it's very serious and it's very bad. So don't sleep with it in and don't have it in for more than 8 hours. Normally, I feel like people will change their tampon every time you pee. People say that you could leave this in when you go pee. I don't think that that's true. I think that's disgusting because this is going into your vagina, so that some pee is going to get absorbed into the tampon when it's inside your vagina, and I just think it's better to not have pee inside you and just change it. People say you could leave it in. I don't agree. I think you should change this every time you go pee, just to be safe, just to not be disgusting, right? But yeah, these could leak. These are the best. This is the method that I prefer the most. I think it's easiest. It's the most comfortable. It's, for the most part, pretty leak proof, as long as you're changing it every time you pee, like you should be. The third method of absorption are menstrual cups. This is kind of like a newer form of absorption. The downfalls are that it's hard to clean this when you're in public because basically it's like a little cup and you fold it in half and you put it into your vagina the same way that you would put a tampon. But in order to like take it out, you have to like get your hand like really dirty and you have to rinse the cup every time that you change it out, which is the problem essentially with these cups when you're using them in public, because there's no sink in the bathroom unless you're in a bathroom that's just a single bathroom. Yeah, these aren't supposed to leak like at all though. So these are technically leak proof. So if you do have a heavier period, then these could be for you. I haven't personally used them, but yeah, they sound good. I would use them, but I just haven't. Also, cramps. Most girls deal with some pretty severe cramps, I would say. Have you ever seen those videos of men using the cramp simulators? Yeah, they can be pretty bad. My biggest tip is to use Midol, which is a period cramp specific pain reliever. It's magic, I think. You could also use heating pads. Sometimes when I have really bad cramps, I just sit on the toilet with my feet up, scrunched up into a ball, and that always helps. You could just lay down. I like to bleed out on the toilet. I'll be the first to admit it. Yeah, I guess the last things that I would say is I wouldn't worry about when you get your period because it could really range from like 11 to 14. But if you get past 15 and 16 and you haven't gotten your period, then I would definitely consider paying a visit to the doctor, because at that point, I mean, I don't know if there's anything they could do for you, but to advise you on, I don't know, because it could also be like, I know some people stop getting their periods when they have certain health issues, so you could be dealing with health issues that you're not aware of that your doctor could definitely advise you on, so that would be handy. Obviously, like, I'm just scraping the surface. I can't possibly speak on everything, but from what I can speak on, I feel like I scraped the surface enough to give you a pretty good understanding of periods. So let's move on to prevention. The only method that is 100% effective in preventing pregnancy is abstinence, and abstinence is not having sex to begin with. That is pretty standard, but the good thing is, if you do want to have sex, the preventions that I'm going to talk about here are normally around like 90, high 90% effective. The first one, and I feel like the most common one, is the pill. If you're young and you're trying to get on the pill by going to Planned Parenthood under your parents' insurance, just don't try to get it without your mom knowing, because she's going to get notified that you're taking out a medication on her insurance. It happens more than you think. I would just definitely have the conversation with your mom. It's obviously better to be safe than sorry, and I know that she could say no. She could 100% say no, and then that's, I don't know. It's just best to have the conversation even if it might not go well, because I would just try to have that conversation with your mom and try to see if she's accepting of letting you go on birth control, because if you just try to do it, she's gonna find out. In regards to the pill, there are so many side effects: weight gain, acne, your hormones are like messed up. I've heard so many horror stories, so do your research, because there are different types of the pill, so there are different side effects, obviously. This one, the pill is normally like pretty effective, and they say that it becomes not effective due to user error because you are supposed to take this every single day at the same time. So that's where the variance comes in between the efficacy of the pill. So if you're looking for a non-hormonal option, you could go for the IUD. This is inserted into the uterus. If you've ever met a cocky guy and he says, oh yeah, I felt her IUD, that's not real. You can't feel the IUD. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think that's real. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, it's inserted into the uterus, and then it's non-hormonal, and then I think you're covered up to 5 years. So this is a pretty good method unless you're scared of things being in there, which is fair. And then the most common method of prevention are condoms, and they're the standard male condoms which go around the dick, and then there are female condoms that go inside the female that practically no one uses and no one knows how to use. So people use condoms when they first start to have sex. This is the most common one. You should always have one on you. If you're talking to somebody and you see it going there, just have one on you, because it's better to have one than to get pregnant. Just go to the store, get a general size. It's not embarrassing. People always get this. Have someone who's older than you get it if you're embarrassed, but just make sure you have it. Get one from a friend. Get one from that senior friend that you know. Like, just make sure to have one, because it's better to be safe than sorry. So I just ended this video, but I forgot one thing. Let's talk about the morning after pill. Or I think it's like $6 or $7 at Costco. If you have a Costco card, if you could get in there somehow, you're gonna need to get Plan B. I think this is the generic name for it. Yeah, you have to take this within 3 days of having unprotected sex, emergency contraception. That's always an option, but the safest option, abstinence, condoms, the pill, whatever you need to do, but this is your Plan B, so use this if you must. Okay, let's talk about boys. There's a small section here on boys. Men have penises. It's scary. It's disgusting. Penises are gross, to be quite honest, but there are two types of penises. There's a circumcised and the non-circumcised penis. Basically, when a guy comes out of the womb, they have a uncircumcised penis, which means they have a foreskin, which is basically like, this is the penis. This is a normal man's penis, a normal circumcised penis, right? And this little mechanism that was on top of it, this was the foreskin. So basically, when you're born, normally, most people when they're born, I want to say, they get this removed. So then they become this. This is much more sanitary, because when your dick is inside the foreskin, it can trap dirt and sweat, and sometimes it smells and it's gross. I've also heard horror stories of someone having sex with someone with an uncircumcised penis, and the foreskin rips from this penis and then the blood goes inside of them. So I think A circumcised penis is much more sanitary, and I would recommend doing things with someone who has a circumcised penis over an uncircumcised. But I know even girls have strong opinions on this. That's just my opinion. Some girls like the uncircumcised. I don't know. Not my thing. I just think it's gross. I think it's really gross. Point blank, period. Too many guys are not sanitary enough to have a foreskin. Balls. Men also have balls. And be aware that when you're having sex with a man who has low-bearing balls, that means they don't hold close to the penis. They droop a little bit. Their balls could repeatedly slap you while you're having sex. This is totally normal. This sounds so strange, but I'm giving you a forewarning, so you should be thanking me. When boys are growing up, they start to develop testosterone. I'm not too versed on the men side of puberty, on the boys side of puberty, but when boys start to hit puberty, they feel testosterone, which is the hormone that's released when women get their period, which makes them feel emotional. So men are feeling these strong emotions all the time. That's why when you're in high school and when you're in middle school, boys are angry. They get in fights and they're angry because they're dealing with this level of emotions that women feel when they're only on their periods 24/7. Men are angry. Just remember that's why. They're dealing with this all the time. I'm not saying cut them some slack. If you're wondering why boys are so angry, that's why. Also, boys mature much slower than girls. If you have a sibling and you're taller than them as a female and they're a male, that's why. They just mature and grow much slower. Okay, let's talk about sex. Consent is cool. Consent is extremely important. Always get consent before you do anything. Maybe not before you kiss them, because I feel like if you're about to kiss somebody, you could get consent for that. It's better to be safer than sorry. But if you're going anywhere past kissing, you should probably get consent for it. And if you as a woman change your mind halfway, totally okay. Communicate that you've changed your mind and you should be good. Consent is cool. Like, always get consent. Like, never let anyone take advantage of you. Like, that shit, like getting taken advantage of, like all of that stuff, like assault, like that shit stays with you. So stand up for yourself always, or I'm going to have to for you. Here's the thing. When you lose your virginity, it's likely you're going to be young. It's going to be your first time doing it, and it might be that person's first time doing it. And if it is that person's first time doing it, they're not making sure that all their bases are covered. They are not making sure that you're warmed up down there. They're not making sure that the foreplay has been good. So most likely, sex is going to hurt as a female having sex for the first time. Think about it this way. A finger is much smaller than a penis. It's much girthier, which is like the width, right? You might bleed. This is very, very likely. Put a towel down if you have to. Let them know it's your first time. You may as well let them know so then they could cater to you. Consent is cool, right? Let them know. Get consent. Like I said, if you think it's coming, you think you're going to have sex with a guy soon, have a condom on you because he might not have a condom on you. Don't let him impregnate you. All right? It's the first person you're having sex with. You're most likely going to have sex with a lot more people in your life if you don't get impregnated by this one guy. So have a condom on you. Make sure he has a condom on him. He should have one on him, but if not, just cover your bases and get one. When you're having sex for the first time, a man is going to ejaculate. He's going to finish. He's going to orgasm. These are all kind of the same things. Just know, this isn't going to happen for you right off the bat. It's going to happen when you have sex with someone consistently. Women are actually capable of coming too. Just know that. When you have sex with someone consistently, they'll get your vibe, you'll get theirs, and then you'll be able to get there eventually. But yeah, women most likely don't finish with hookups, honestly, for a while with most men. So after he finishes and you don't, per usual, throw the condom away, don't flush it down the toilet. As soon as you're done with your activities, make sure to pee right away, because if you don't pee, you're gonna get something called a UTI, which is urinary tract infection, from having bacteria inside your vagina, and it hurts when you pee, and you have to get on antibiotics. You have to go to the doctor to get rid of it. You can't get rid of it by yourself. Make sure you pee after you have sex, so drink a ton of water. It's gonna feel better if you have water inside your bladder when you're having sex. So drink a ton of water before, have sex, go pee right away. Don't even waste any time. Go pee right away. This is my biggest tip. Go pee right away. I'm not even joking. UTIs hurt. Men's penises are gross and they could give you infections. So just make sure you pee. Clean that man out of your system. It's not good for you anyway. 2 last thoughts. You're going to have sex for the next 40 years of your life. Maybe even longer. Maybe shorter. Don't rush. Don't feel pressured to have sex by a certain age because you literally have your whole life to have sex. So don't rush your first time having sex with someone who doesn't deserve you. Sex is so fluid and it's experienced by everybody so differently. So don't even sweat it. Don't even sweat it like if you're like 25 and haven't had sex, or if you're like 16 and all your friends are having sex and you're not. Like, so take your time. Don't even worry about it. Don't feel pressured. It's not a big deal. There are so many people that don't have sex until like way later in their life, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I am your big sis J. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this type of content. Ask me other questions that I can expand on, and we'll just have like good conversations. Make sure to subscribe because you'll come back and see more of me, and why wouldn't you want to see more of me? And I will see you in my next video as Lovesick J. Bye!